We're drawing today another one of my cartoon strips called Home Team. Home Team was kind of a compromise title when I first started drawing these some 20 years ago. In a way, it still makes a lot of sense because you are a team at home, and especially the bigger the family, the more teamwork is required. Telling a joke, I try to go for a little bit of misdirection. You don't want to give away things too quickly. You want sometimes the reader guessing as to what direction you're going, and then you hit them in the end with what is hopefully the funny punchline. As I've mentioned before, I always do the text first so as to know how much space I need then to add the drawings. There's many times I've drawn something first and then suddenly realize there's no room for the amount of text or to position the text. So I'm generally in the habit of putting the text in first. In my cartoon family, my wife's real name is Birgit. Her middle name is Kathy. I've gone with the middle names of all my family, including myself, for the characters in the cartoon. My name is Walt Rada, as you know. My middle name is Mike. So in the cartoon, I am Mike. An event or something will inspire the actual joke, and it's something that a lot of people I think can relate to then, because these things happen to everybody. So I've set up the first three panels, and now I'll sketch the character, which is Mike Mayhem, is the made-up last name for our family. That's me. My character has always been very easy to draw, big round nose. I don't know if I make it big enough for myself. This character now is an updated version of the character of myself I had drawn for almost 20 years. And all the characters in my family had stayed static for the longest time until I decided just almost 2 years ago that it was time to update it. So this is the newer version of myself, Mike Mayhem. His hair is gray now. Still got a good head of hair, if I can say so. Except don't look at the back of it. And he's got his glasses on because that is just it's a funny thing. Just putting glasses on the character can make them look either smart or old. And so I'm trying to make myself look a little older, even though I do wear glasses all the time. My original character did not. I've added the glasses to myself and to Kathy's character just to give us the impression of being older. Kathy has brought some groceries home, so we'll draw a little grocery bag. The easy fingers, again, as I've talked about before, generally I just draw 3 fingers and 1 thumb, or 4 fingers altogether. Makes it easier on such a small drawing. But on the occasion when you need to have all 5 fingers to demonstrate a certain hand gesture, then you just add the 5th finger. No one's going to be the wiser. And if you look at cartoons, most of them are often drawn with just 3 fingers, some of the most famous ones, of course, being Mickey Mouse. I might add a little more motion here, because Mike's looking through the shopping bags to see what delicious treats Kathy's brought home from shopping. Maybe there's cookies or something in there. Who knows? I've talked before about how cartoonists and artists, 2 different breeds in my opinion, but cartoonists and artists will often look at their hands and see the way I've drawn this hand is quite a simple little method. Just draw the little shape of the hand, draw the fingers down, and you get the shape of the hand with a bit of motion to it. It'll look better when it's inked. So, now Mike has discovered something interesting. Whoa, what is this? Now, I was talking earlier about how cartoon ideas are often inspired by real events. This actually happened to a point. Things that would not normally happen or are so ridiculous they make us laugh for some reason. It's an interesting science, humor. You can ask any comedian what makes people laugh, what doesn't, why do we laugh, why do humans laugh, why is some humor more sophisticated than others. It's a mystery. It's a kind of a way of you just have to guess and hope that people find what you find funny, they find funny as well. So Mike has discovered something unusual in the shopping bag. And I talked about holding your hand to see how it looks. So you just kind of mimic what you see. What could this possibly be? I'm not happy with this hand at all. There we go. That's more like it. This is I do this all the time. It's such the lazy cartoonist way of drawing hands and fingers. You just got to draw a few little circles around something with my 3 fingers and 1 thumb, and you're good. Oh, I'm just going to emphasize that he's looking down, eyebrows up a little bit, and to give a little emphasis to the surprise, I draw anyway, a little line around the eye, like so. Now, we're in the bathroom, and Mike is brushing his teeth with this amazing product that Kathy's brought home. This might be a little more complicated. I gotta visualize it. As I talked about before too, when you're doing your sketching, often it doesn't look like much. You're just trying to basically frame and get your drawing, well, literally sketched out, and then you do the finer work with your marker. Again, I've talked before about how much I admire truly gifted cartoonists who can just whip these kind of things off without effort. I'm not one of those, but I keep doing it anyway. Now he's brushing his teeth. This will look better once it's inked. It's a little effect here. Gonna have a little bit of soap bubbles coming out like this. Here we go. Mike is now talking to Kathy. So Mike says that new beef flavored toothpaste is, Kathy says, for the dogs. And I said earlier that cartoons are often based on real life. This actually happened, except I didn't brush my teeth with it. But I did see this toothpaste that Kathy had bought, beef flavored, and I for a moment thought, you kidding me? Until it was explained to me that it's actually for the dogs. They're more prone to having their teeth brushed if the toothpaste tastes like beef, as would probably most men. If they come out with a bacon-flavored toothpaste, then you really have something, I'd think. Mike is pointing back to the bathroom. This is an easy way to draw a hand, lazy way to draw it. And now we have Kathy, Mike's long-suffering and dear wife. She's surprised that he's talking about the dog toothpaste. Now Kathy still has beautiful long hair today. She had beautiful long hair for the many years I drew the cartoon before, but now to give the impression that she's older, even though she's still 39, apparently. And even though Kathy in real life is farsighted, so only needs her glasses for reading, to give her the impression of being a little older, I've stuck a pair of glasses on her, as I mentioned earlier. So she's a little surprised. Mike's not actually talking out loud. Here, I shouldn't have added the mouth. I will get rid of that. He's thinking. And thinking, of course, the old standard in cartoons is these little thought bubbles. He would be having a really hard time to talk while he's brushing his teeth, so he's just thinking all this. So now we have it all sketched. The inking begins. I use 3 primary size markers for the inking, 0.1, 0.5, and a 0.3. The 0.1, the thinnest, is what I use for most of the line work. I will use the larger 0.3 for a little more emphasis around the bubbles, and the larger one, the 0.5, for emphasizing the letters, such as in amazing. You can make it pop a little bit more when you are emphasizing a point. When you're finished, you try to close up any openings you can see, because you'll be using the fill tool, and any kind of tiniest little opening, it'll leak throughout the whole drawing, but it's not important. You can fix that on the computer just as easily, but I try to catch what I can. And then at the end, you erase out all the pencil marks as best you can with your big fat eraser without wrinkling the paper, which I often do. But again, you don't need to be perfect with it, and you don't want to rub too hard to start erasing the actual ink, because again, you will be fixing up any kind of little mistakes on the computer. As I've shown before, I use Microsoft Paint to finish these cartoons off. You can do a lot of little repairs. What I love about using Microsoft Paint is you can do just about everything you need to make a decent cartoon or drawing, and it's so simple a child or an old man can use it. There's not a lot of technical things. It's just point and click at what you want to use. Here I'm using the right click, the white, to just clean up some of my very shaky drawing. And as I also mentioned, you want to make sure there's no open lines, otherwise you'll have bleed through when you use the color, the fill tool. Because my cartoons are printed in a newspaper, I don't use actual colors. I use shades of gray to indicate color. I forgot to put the arm of my glasses here. I erased it, or I didn't ink it, so I erased it. So I'm just using the straight line tool to add it nice and quick and easy. I made his face a little bit too narrow here, so you use the select tool and circle the area you want to change. I'm just pulling this one out a little bit so the face looks better, more like I'd want it. Back in the day, you had to be perfect with this kind of thing, and when I started out, I didn't have access to a computer even, so my inking and framing of everything had to be perfect, and that often was not perfect. And so this age we live in with these kind of tools is wonderful, because it can make life really easy for the lazy cartoonist. Or as I used to use whiteout back in the day, now you just quickly erase it on the computer and you're good. And now we go to the fill tool. I got this black, there's the fill tool, fill in the bottom. Whoopsie, see, there was a mistake. I got a hole right there, a little gap, so you gotta fill that. That's why it was bleeding, and now we're good. Back to the fill tool is now this shade of gray, and there's my hair and my goatee. It's my big dog barking outside, you can hear. So this shade of gray is good for the toothbrush. So you saw up here, I didn't actually use the black, I just used the color to fill that gap. I don't know why I really do it, it just seems to give it a bit more character there. And to give Mike's shirt a little bit of character, I will often highlight, as you'll see in real shirts, the collar. Left click, release, pull it down a bit, once, twice, fill. Okay, toothpaste box. I want it not to be the same color as Mike's shirt, a little lighter, but not as light as the standard gray, so I take the dark edit colors, drop it back a bit, and you've created your own custom shade, color the box. And to give it just an indication that it is a product box, I give it a racing stripe kind of thing. 1, 2, fill, and it looks like a semblance of a product without going into too much detail. And I'll just give the bag a little color so it stands out. We'll use the lighter shade of gray. And I made a big mistake there. Important thing for anybody is to put your name on your work. No matter what your level of ability, you never know. And you want to make sure that your name is on your work. Because I'm lazy, I just take it from another cartoon and copy and paste. So thank you for watching, and if you'd like to see more, please subscribe to my channel.
What do you think dogs dream about?
Oh, I don't know. Probably cookies?
Come back, Commander. This is suicide.
I can't, Princess. It's our only hope to stop